had me falling, falling, right from the start. Oh, you had me falling, falling, falling hard. Oh, you had me falling, falling, right from the start. Oh, you had me falling, falling, falling hard.
Could you come over just to be with you? It's all I want to, all I want to. Wanna be close and be in the moment. I'm hoping that you can love like I do. I don't wanna be your part. I'll never forget all the things we done, things we done. And how could I go without us? When you are the world I am dreaming of. I know I can be wrong, but never about us. Every time they play a song on the radio, I wanna find a way to play you in stereo. Every song is about us two and I can't let go. Every time they play a song on the radio, I wanna find a way to play you in stereo. Every song is about us two and I can't let go. Caught in emotions, how could we let us go? The distant hurting, I'm tired of it. Leaving the old I want us to feel again. I'll do whatever to love you better. I don't wanna be your part. I'll never forget all the things we done, things we done. And how could I go without us? When you are the world I am dreaming of. I know I can be wrong, but never about us. I know I can be wrong, but never about us. I know I can be wrong, but never about us. How could I go without? When you are the world I am dreaming of. I know I can be wrong, but never about us. Every time they play a song on the radio, I wanna find a way to play you in stereo. Every song is about us two and I can't let go. And I can't let go. Every time they play a song on the radio, I wanna find a way to play you in stereo. Every song is about us two and I can't let go.
A real clockwork soldier.
Generation Orange in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Generation Orange. My name is Edson Ochoa and I am accompanied by my good friend and fellow co-host Sean Ringrose. Sean, how are you doing, man?
I'm tired. I'll be totally honest. I'm exhausted. That thing that I was exhausted from last week, yeah, it's still ongoing and I'm still exhausted from it.
Well, man, It's just been hectic in the whole city, like for due to all of these circumstances. But what Sean has to go through, like it's very tiring. I get tired mentally, like when he describes what he what he goes through.
You haven't even heard the half of it with this one, man. It's been quite the experience, but not necessarily negative or positive. It's just been quite the experience. But man, I tell you what, as you know, I guess let's segue from one fire to another and talk about how on fire the Dynamo currently are right now. Are you kidding me? This team is en fuego, dude. Albert Delis might possibly in this very moment at this early in the season be the best winger in MLS right now. He is playing out of his mind right now. Some people are going to say, you know, okay, let's be fair. They haven't really played anybody tough. All the teams they've played have been crap.
That's what I've been getting.
Say what you will, but at the end of the day, the Dynamo can only play the teams that are put in front of them. If MLS is going to schedule an easy start to the season, then at least the Dynamo are showing up and playing as well as they can play against the easy teams. You expect them to go out and beat them. And
you know, a lot of people make the comment that these are teams that in previous years you would think that the Dynamo would be able to easily defeat, and yet they would struggle against them.
Exactly. And let's not forget, this match on Saturday against Colorado was our first away match of the season. Do you remember how long it took last year to get our first away win of the year?
Oh, it took a while.
I think we were in the middle of the summer. I want to say it was June or later. I mean, you know, to get that one out of the way that early and to do it in that fashion, forget how bad Colorado may or may not be. At the end of the day, you still went into Colorado in an away stadium and absolutely rocked that team. And look, Colorado has a lot of good talent. And yeah, they're struggling on defense right now. Yes, they're struggling with goalkeeping for some unknown reason. And yes, they're struggling to score goals. But they scored 2 goals. Well, technically they scored 3 goals, I guess, because they scored 2 own goals and then their 1 actual goal. And, I mean, technically we only scored 2. So, I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, they technically won. In goals, at least. They just put them in the wrong net, which we put ours in the right net. So, you know, but shut up, Cisco. But Cisco says first match of the season was an away win. Whatever, get out of here. But I mean, at the end of the day, what counts, what matters, is the fact that the Dynamo went on the road for their first away match of the season, true away match of the season, and won away from home. Got that monkey off their back, and they did it in convincing fashion. I mean, I don't think there was a point in that match, and I wish I could have gone to a watch party or something like that, but I was legitimately working at that point, you know. But I had it on my phone and I was watching. I don't think there was a time in that match that I was sitting there going, "Oh no, this is an away match. Like, oh God, we're gonna lose." Like from early in that match, it was. Okay, cool. We're coming out like we don't care anymore. Like, yeah, we're coming out.
Wasn't that something that we kind of raised concerns about last season? That
absolutely
about the different change in mentality, home versus away. How for some reason Wilmer and the Dynamo would play a lot more cautious away, and this match it legitly looked like the Houston Dynamo that usually plays at BBVA Compass Stadium.
Yeah, it's like. You know, and I said this, I don't know what, before the season started and even after the first couple of home wins of the season, that one of my biggest struggles with Wilmer is last year and even the, you know, bit of time that he had before that, he tended to play different tactically on the road than he did at home. And he didn't play different tactically on Saturday. Like, that was the Dynamo we all know and love. And they looked every bit the Dynamo we all know and love.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were applying pressure on the back line, which is what led to the two own goals. I mean, Elise was crossing balls into the box at various spots. Memo was running on. I mean, okay, back up the hype train for just a second. where was this Memo for the last like 3 seasons? Don't get me wrong, the kid has improved tremendously, but it's like as good as he's been, this is a whole different level for Memo. And whether it's because he's put in the work and the time and the effort off the pitch and outside of practice, hitting the weight room and, trying to get his fitness up. I saw a video that was posted, I think, to Instagram with him and AJD doing their own solo drills or their own like 1v1 drills. And it was outside of team activities. And to see that put an absolute smile on my face, because it shows the commitment and dedication on Memo's part and AJ's part, but specifically Memo's part, to improve, to get better.
Yes.
I mean, and it's not like he was going against, a scrub center back or a scrub outside back, from RGV. No, sorry, that was a low blow, but it was not intended to be. It was just a factual statement. He was going against AJD, who's one of the better right backs in the league. And, he wasn't owning him by any stretch of the imagination, but he's putting himself against harder talent, in veteran players, good veteran players, to try to make himself better consistently over time. And if you look at his career progression right now, I mean, look, I know I said I couldn't see him as anything more than a super sub, and I needed to see him do it more consistently over the next few matches. At this point, dude, he has sold me 100%. He's putting in the time, he's putting in the effort, he's putting in the work. He's doing exactly what I asked him to do, and he's doing it without complaining about not having starting minutes before, from last year, having to play behind Kyoto or having to play behind Elise or having to play behind Tomas, playing out of position, all these things. He's done it, and he's gone about it as professional as you can ask. And if there's a reason why Memo is going to succeed in this league and with the Dynamo, it is because he is putting the time and he's doing it as a professional. It is the one thing that we have talked about when it comes to the academy pipeline and the transition from the academy to RGV to the Dynamo. And that is that the players have to have that mental toughness and that mental understanding that they have to shift mindsets to become a professional. You have to act like a professional. You have to practice like a professional, and you have to play like a professional, which means going out there, regardless of what's going on the pitch, regardless of what's happening with other players at the same position or other positions, regardless of when you get your opportunity, you have to go out there and earn it. And we've talked about it with RGV. We've talked about it with the academy. We've talked about it with the Dynamo, and Memo is doing it. He is going out there, match in and match out, practice in and practice out, and he's earning it on the pitch. And at this point, he has supplanted Kyoto as the starting left winger. Now, with that said, if Memo starts to struggle for more than a couple matches, I expect Kyoto to come back. And if Kyoto doesn't show the mental toughness to be that professional and play up to the standard that we expect out of Kyoto, I have no problem seeing Kyoto leave. I really don't at this point, because Memo has proved he's going to take that starting spot. Fortnite is a huge part of his success. Maybe it's the hand-eye, foot-eye coordination thing with Fortnite. I don't know. Maybe it's his ability to playing Fortnite and talking in chat. It allows him to think about multiple things at once more effectively. But, I mean, it's this version of Memo, and really it's the same version of Memo that we've seen. It's just he continually steps up his game. He continually rises to the occasion. Mm-hmm. And it's the preparation that goes into that. It's the time that he puts in away from the practice field by himself with other players, but not in the team setting, not in the practice setting, just away from everybody else, letting himself get better, letting himself grow and develop. When we talk about youth development, players don't develop only on the pitch. They develop off the pitch. They develop both professionally off the pitch, and they develop mentally off the pitch. And if you have a kid like Memo that genuinely 100% desires and has that passion, and they go about it like Memo has, with the work ethic that honestly is 5-star work ethic, man, look, I know I've said that there seems to be a talent ceiling for the kid, but I'm done. There's no talent ceiling for him at this point. Like, give the kid a shot and let him keep going. He has shown every bit that he can rise to that occasion. And as long as he doesn't struggle for 3, 4, 5 matches in a row, then I don't see why you can't keep starting him. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the perfect opportunity for him. It's the perfect thing to see the Dynamo capitalizing on it, because it's always been something we've, struggled a bit with Wilmer, which is his reticence previously to play younger players and play them consistently. But all of my beef that I've had with Wilmer, it's like leaving. Like, it's like This season is just, hey, Sean says all these things. Okay, cool. Wilmer's not going to do those things anymore. Like, what? Stop that. I need things to gripe about. And I have nothing to gripe about right now. It's great. It's fantastic. But yeah, I'm absolutely hashtag Team Memo right now.
Hashtag Memo knows.
He definitely knows. He absolutely knows.
I think I think we're seeing greatness being developed in Memo. I think it's like I don't know who tweeted about it. Oh, Glenn, saying that it's time to stop treating Memo like a kid straight out of the academy and actually like what he is, which is a professional player. And I think he himself, which is the most important aspect, is that he himself has taken himself out of that mentality of being that academy player, the first homegrown player on the outfield, and say, you know what? My work is still not done. I had got my first team contract, but there's still a lot more for me to do. And that's what Cisco said. He says, I think that's been my biggest gripe about kids coming out of the academy. Once they sign that first team contract, I feel like they think their work is done.
I like what Cisco had to say. I think that's been, it's been Cisco's biggest gripe, and I'll back him up and vouch for him on this. I think it's been my biggest gripe that about kids to come out of the academy. Once they sign that first team contract, it feels like they just kind of think the work is done. I definitely agree, at least for the classes before. And even, I mean, look at Luka. I felt the same way with Luka. Like, Luka felt to me on the pitch and off the pitch, like he felt like he deserved to be there. And if he wasn't there, he didn't like that. And I look at Memo, and it's like Memo felt like he deserved to be there, but he also understood that he had to prove and earn it. And I really wish, like right now, I kind of feel like the Dynamo Academy needs to take that Houston Astros slogan from a few years ago of hashtag earn it, and that needs to become their day in and day out mantra. You have to earn it. You have to earn it on and off the pitch. You have to earn it year in and year out. Nothing is guaranteed, especially not in professional sports, and definitely not in soccer. And it's just crazy. And, Cisco points out Brian Salazar, a kid that came out of the academy, had all the hype in the world from the front office and from the marketing team and everything else. And I mean, he just completely bottomed out because it was like he expected that everything was going to be handed to him and that he was just going to have that spot earned. And he didn't put in the effort. He didn't put the time in. And the things that I've heard about his work ethic off the field, like, there's no doubt why he struggled as badly as he did and why he didn't make it anywhere whatsoever. So it's just, I look at the Memo thing and it makes me excited because Memo is creating that precedence, showing these younger kids in the academy and that are coming out of the academy. You're Eric McHugh, right? His name is Eric, right? Yeah, Eric McHugh. Yes. Who's the other kid that signed a contract or is about to sign a contract? I can't think of his name.
Palomino?
Not Palomino, it was somebody else. He's probably not signed it yet. It'll probably happen later in the season. But you've got more players that are coming out, and like Matt Jordan said in an interview in the preseason, the 17s right now are getting to that point where they're prepping to come out and become that next class out of the Dynamo Academy. And that class is pretty well loaded, 5 or 6 players that legitimately could sign contracts. And I just look at that and I go, if they can adopt that same mentality as Memo, if they can take what Memo's done and learn from it and learn from the mistakes of others, then, I'll take 5 guys coming out of her academy and becoming even just super subs. I'd take that. But even beyond that, I'd take them coming out and becoming first team starters. I'd have no problem with that, and the way Memo's playing right now, is there any doubt that could potentially happen? I mean, there's really not. Like, it's Memo has single-handedly turned a frustrating part of being a Dynamo fan into one of the most exciting parts. Now, he didn't do it single-handedly, but himself having that mentality, going about his business, doing what he needed to do, has really changed that mindset that I've had personally about the Dynamo and Dynamo Academy. And it's giving me hope. And hope is a really, really good thing. And like I said, I'm excited to continue to see that growth and continue to see that move forward.
So you mentioned Lucatero, and the fact that he felt that he deserved to be there. You know what's interesting about all of this is that he left the Dynamo because apparently he wasn't getting minutes or he didn't have a chance to make it to the first team when he didn't really show much at RGV. Even when Coach Gonzalez put him in a different position than he was used to. Okay. So he goes to the Necaxa. He hasn't played a lot of minutes. In 2018, he played with the under-20s for 162 minutes. This year, he's with the, I'm guessing it's Necaxa second division, technically third division. He's played 41 matches in this 2019 season, or 41 minutes. So,
how many matches across 41 minutes?
3 matches in 41 minutes.
3 matches.
And then in 2018, 10 matches for 162 minutes. So you're talking about only like maybe 16 minutes.
Yeah, he's coming on as a substitute every match.
Yeah.
He's not start. He obviously didn't start a single match that season.
Yeah.
In 2018. So
I think that it's a harsh reality that now he has to realize that you have to earn those caps, and he had almost everything with the Dynamo.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I like what Cisco had to say too, and it echoes the sentiment that I've been trying to get across, which is I think that's where the Dynamo starts to turn a corner. Kids coming up through the system haven't really had an example to show that you can make that jump and can still be successful if you put in the work. And like I said, Memo is setting that precedence for how you make it happen, how it can happen. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there are kids in the academy right now that look at Memo and they go, I want to be the next Memo. And he hasn't even really done anything really, like, you know, in terms of, he's not an MVP player at this point. But he's cracked the starting 11, and he's doing it now consistently. I mean, it's a couple matches in a row. I consider that consistent.
Yeah.
You know, and if he continues this path and this trajectory, I'm serious, guys. I genuinely believe this kid could absolutely be a long-term starter for the Dynamo. And I did not think that a month ago. I didn't think that at the start of the season at all. And it had nothing to do with Memo. It had everything to do with the fact that I needed to see it consistently. I've seen it consistently now. I want to see it a few more matches after this as well. But, I mean, even if he's not out there scoring a goal every match, if he's continuing to make those same runs, if he's continuing to try to find that same space, there's not a defender on this planet that's going to stop him consistently.
Yeah, and that's only
because he's letting Elise and Morrow pull defenders away from him. And then as soon as they pull away, what is he doing? He's breaking for the goal. Here's the other thing. When teams start to account for Memo like they used to for Kyoto, that's going to free up Elise to have one-on-ones on the outside. That's going to free up Morrow to have open space in the box. Both of those players are going to benefit from Memo doing what he's told he's supposed to do.
Just take a look.
All it takes.
And just take a look at the first goal that happened in the 4th minute.
Yes.
Every defender was too busy taking care or watching out for Elise when he was cutting in through the middle that they totally left a huge gap for Memo to go through. And
but it's the second game in a row we've seen exactly that happen. Not just once, but multiple times in the match. I'm just saying that, look, this team is set up perfectly for Memo to take advantage of that space. And the more Memo does that, it's going to take pressure off Elise and Morrow because defenders are going to start to cover more towards Memo's side. It's the old adage of it forces defenders to stay honest. And if Memo has a defender on him the whole match, that's going to be one less defender that's sliding over to try to deal with Morrow, Tomas, or Elise. Mm-hmm. And if that continues to happen, if we start to see Memo pulling a defender his direction, Elise and Morrow having one-on-ones, Tomas having opportunities to pass them through balls, it just opens up an entire world of opportunity for the offense. And all because Memo is taking those runs. He's finding the space. He's not hesitant to make that run in the box. He's hitting the ball into the net. Thank God. And he's taking the opportunities that are available to him.
And you know what? You're seeing the dedication that Memo has that Kyoto has lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if that's I don't know where that comes from. I feel like, maybe defenders, as they started to kind of play out towards Kyoto, that he started to get frustrated with it, and his frustration began to show in his play on the pitch. Maybe we've talked about this too. Maybe it's just Kyoto's a slow starter in terms of the season. I mean, he was last year, so why can't he be this year?
But last year you didn't have a memo that
he was not pushed last year like he's pushed this year.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And I like it, though, because if Kyoto wants that spot, he's going to have to earn it back. And I'll be honest with you, if we got two players pushing for that spot as hard as they can, that's only good. Like, nothing bad comes of that. And, even if we can't sell Kyoto on because guess what? He's not able to find that form again, or maybe because he hasn't fully earned that starter position back. Guess what? You can move Memo over to the other side at some point when Elise goes away, maybe it's the summer window, make all that money off of selling Elise, and now you have Memo and Kyoto on the outside. And if Kyoto could find that form in that spot, or if he can't, you've got Marlon Hairston to start over there.
Yeah.
I love having depth. It's fan-freaking-tastic. It's just my thing, I said I like depth. I like really, really good, talented depth. And we have it this season. We absolutely have that.
Can we talk about how good his Tomas Martinez's vision is?
Okay. I have said this for so long. Tomas sees the game really well. However, the one thing I've always had a problem with Tomas is he's a slow turner. He's slow to pivot. But you don't necessarily need that pivot if he's that guy that's just dropped back just a little bit and can feed the ball forward. He doesn't have to pivot as long as he receives it in front of him.
Yeah.
And the Dynamo has shifted how they pass to him, how they feed him the ball, and you see the difference. He's getting the ball in mid-run, and he's able to immediately get it out wide, or he's able to shift it to the other side. He's able to find those holes. I'm just telling you, it's great seeing a team playing in orange that plays like they want something this season. They wanted the Open Cup last season, and they went and got it. This season, they want MLS Cup. There's no doubt. They want MLS Cup. And they're throwing everything at it this year. Mm-hmm. Last year, we had the Open Cup run. Look, they're going to put into Open Cup as much as they can, but I genuinely believe they're going to pour everything into MLS Cup this year.
It's great. It's great. It's seeing all of this. Another question would be, the midfield has looked decent with Vera. Vera has made improvements, and in my opinion, he's improved a lot since the beginning of the season. He looks a lot more composed than when he started, well positioned as well. So the big question is, when Cabezas gets fit, who's going to be sacrificed?
You have to think it's probably going to be Boney, and Boney will just come on in a substitute role. And again, holy crap, our level of depth at, D mid and center mid. We talked about how much depth we had, but did we genuinely believe that even without Cabezas, the team was going to play this well?
No.
As a reminder, Cisco a couple weeks ago made the mention, when JDC is on the pitch for the Dynamo this season, they have surrendered 0 goals.
It's a good thing you specified with the Dynamo.
Well, because RGV is a different story. We won't talk about RGV. That's for later in the show. That's for later in the show when everybody else has already fallen asleep because we've gotten bored and and they're like, okay, whatever. All right, it's RGV Express time. Yay, misery loves company, right?
Yeah, San Antonio.
Look, and Thomas, I get it, right? It's early for MLS Cup talk. Sure, it is, but we're talking about a team that went out and won U.S. Open Cup against 2 very good teams. We're talking about a team that has come out and is a top 3 team right now. Realistically, is a top 2 team, potentially even the top team in the West. The reason I say that, Seattle's only ahead on goal difference. We have a game in hand on LAFC or Seattle. We don't have a game in hand on. No, we do have a game in hand on LAFC. So right now, we're currently sitting in 3rd place, but only because of the game in hand. 1 more game, 3 more goals, we got 1st place locked. So don't tell me it's too early to talk about the Cup. Sure, injuries happen. Sure, other stuff happens. But this is the first season in 5 to 10 years, 5 to 7 years, that we've had depth that is good enough to start at any position. We have the depth to cover when a player goes down, like a Juan David Cabezas. We have depth in Boney. We have depth in Vera. We have depth in Tomas. We have depth in Tommy Mack. We have depth in Saren. Guys that were starting last year aren't even seeing the pitch very much because we have so much depth. Santos wants to know, Edson, did RGV win yet?
No.
Okay. He's got a little crying emoji there too, just for you. Sad. But I mean, I get Thomas's point, right? It is early to talk about it because we're 4 matches into the season. I get it. I understand. There's a significant concern that it's kind of early to get hyped. But at the same time, look, if we can't get hyped about a 4-game streak where we're undefeated through 4 matches, when are we going to get hyped? Look, other teams are doing the exact same thing, and they're getting all the press, all the coverage, all the hype, not just from their fan base, but nationally. I had that conversation with Dwayne earlier today on Twitter. The Dynamo get no love. It doesn't matter how well they're playing. They don't get any love.
No,
and if they get love,
excuse.
it's minimal.
And
it's minimal. And there's always like you said, there's always an excuse around it. Well, they haven't played anybody tough. How do we know they're not tough? They've gone out and beaten them into bloody pulps, with the exception of the first match of the season. They've done it while simultaneously playing in CCL. They've done it while simultaneously playing without their best defensive mid, and no one can question that. They've done it with an entirely new back line, or at least an entirely new center back pairing. They've done it with their left winger, their starting left winger, not playing very well. At what point do we say, you know what, maybe this team is better than we actually give them credit for? Maybe this team is actually a whole lot better than we give them credit for. At the end of the day, who's better on paper, Atlanta or Houston? Many people would say Atlanta. Right now, there's no question Houston's the better team. Atlanta haven't won a match yet.
Bob says, is it worth it to go after the Open Cup again? Did that money help with our depth? Yes. I really think so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talked about it. That money led to Vera. That money led us to be able to, or the money paved the way to be able to sign Struna. That money paved the way to let us sign Figueroa. Holy crap, who saw him coming out and being one of our best CBs? Minor this season has been freed to be the best he can be. As a guy with the ball at his feet going forward, is there a better center back in this league other than Schweinsteiger, who's not a true center back anyways?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there is. And yet he gets zero love, absolutely no attention. But he has been absolutely a damn good defender this year.
I think he's gotten better. I think in the beginning, he wasn't really one of my favorite players, especially in CCL. But in these last couple of matches in MLS, he has been playing really, really well. And pretty much to the point that the pairing between Struna and Figueroa, we stopped asking ourselves about what happened with Alejandro Fuenmayor. We stopped.
I don't even care anymore. That's how great Figueroa and Struna have been. Like, I'm with you. Like, early on, it was like, oh God, what's going on with Fuenmayor? Oh crap, there goes our season. And now it's like, wait, who? Who? What? Did he ever play for the Dynamo? I mean, it's like Struna and Figueroa are like, dude, we're leaving you so far in the dust. It's not even funny anymore. And credit to Struna and Minor. They came in, they worked their butts off. They got very good as a center back pairing in preseason, and it's paid off. It's paid dividends. And here's the thing, and I want to bring this up because Cisco's brought this up to me, and I've thought about this as well repeatedly. How much has CCL been a far better preparation for MLS regular season than the standard preseason MLS tournaments and playing against other random international clubs in friendlies that nobody cares about? CCL has been the best preparation they could have had.
Oh yeah.
Going into El Vacon and only going down by only losing by a single goal away from home in Mexico, in Monterrey, in that stadium with that level of fan support. Oh yeah. It told these guys, we can compete against anyone, anywhere, anytime.
That's literally what Tomas Martinez said after that match. I have the
not
video.
heard the quote, and the fact that I'm saying it says it all.
I have the video to prove it. It's in Spanish, but yes, I do have that, and he literally said that. Coming here and being able to come away with just a 1-0 loss proves to us that we can take on anybody in MLS and win the MLS Cup.
Yeah, I mean, look, the players have the goal that they're going after. The players have the fight to go after what they're going after. They have the drive and the determination to go after what they're going after, and they're proving it on the pitch, match in and match out. If this team continues to play this way, and then they slump partway through the season, is there any doubt that they can pull themselves back out? At least didn't start the season on fire. His first match was piss poor, but he's been on fire ever since. He could pull himself out. Tomas didn't start the season on fire, but he's gotten better as the season's worn on. And yeah, we're only 4 matches into the season. But again, when do you begin to build the hype? I don't want to wait until halfway through the season when our team is 11-2-1. I want to do it now. I want to do it while this team is hot, because the team deserves it.
Yeah.
Cisco says, play it, Edson. You have to go find it now. We'll have to take a break just so you can go find that interview.
Yeah.
So while you do that real quick, or while you start to look for it, Callow says, or actually Liam says, agreed, Callow, Beasley, with all that he's been through, isn't going to retire injured. He's going to retire as an active player and play in his last game. And then Callow says, I'm saying it's his last year. The thing is, it might be Beasley's last year. You know, to be fair, though, we said the same thing last year. Like, we were pretty certain it was his last year. But you know, with as good as Lundqvist is playing right now, here's the thing. With as good as he's playing, as good as AJ's playing, do you really want to supplant that for a guy coming off a knee injury and knee surgery? Sure, it might have just been arthroscopic, which is just, you know, looking in there and making sure everything's clean and clear. But at the same time, the dude is old. Like, if he wants to be a bench player, you know, a player coach, whatever, I'm down for that. But at some point, he's going to have to step back. And I think he's starting to do that anyways. But, man, Lundqvist is definitely making it very hard for Beasley to come back and take that spot from him at this point. Santos says Beasley will retire with him holding the MLS Cup trophy in Houston. Right now, I don't argue with you right now. I mean, that dude's going to be and you know what? Look, he's going to have he's going to have the bum knee, and he's still going to go up there and he's going to jump up and down on that thing with the MLS Cup in his hands. I'm telling you right now. Liam says Bees is going to go out with a bang, man, not an injury. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I look at this team, and I know I've said it about the depth and all that. I've said it about the players that we've brought in internationally have been stellar. And they've slowly grown into their roles to become extremely good. I mean, it's just, I look at this team, I look at our depth, I look at our starters, I look at the way that we're currently playing right now. As long as Wilmer doesn't get scared when we go away against the bigger clubs in the league, against the quote unquote elite clubs of the league away, mm-hmm. I really genuinely believe this team's going to run over everybody. Now, there are going to be teams that come out, they park the bus, or they defend deep so that they can't allow Elise and Memo and Morrow to run by them, etc. But it hasn't mattered to this point. It hasn't mattered how teams have played against this team, against the Dynamo. Sure, someone's going to figure out something that slows them down. But even when they slowed them down last year, they didn't stop them. They've rarely, if ever, stopped them. They just kind of contained them for a bit. But what has been shown is this team is dangerous. This team is effective. And this team has found that chemistry right now that's hard to stop. It's hard to beat. It's hard to contain at this point. And, I mean, you can't help but get excited about that.
Yeah. I think we just need to go with the flow. And we're seeing, that we're seeing a huge improvement on this team, and just savor it while it lasts. Because who knows? Like you say, in the midseason they go through a slump, and they don't and they take a while to get out of it. And then when you're finally okay, now I'm ready to be hyped up for this team, the slump happens, and you didn't really enjoy the team when they were doing good, and you're gonna end up being more disappointed, in this team because when I thought you guys were good, now you're bad again, or the whole oh no we suck again kind of thing. Personal opinion, just enjoy it. Enjoy the streak that's coming in. Remember, no team, not even Barcelona, is going to win a league undefeated. It's hard.
I mean, it is. And I want to throw something out there too. Oh, dude, I just lost my train of thought. Oh crap. It was such a good point too. Okay, I'll come back to it at some point, I'm sure. Cisco says, did 7 matches in 3 weeks help? No, I don't believe that did necessarily. I'm glad we started with the packed schedule at the very beginning of the season, because I think that ups our fitness early on, which if you can have that fitness early and you can find that fitness early, then guess what? You're going to have it throughout the entire season, because now your body is prepared for that many matches in a short period of time. And there will be stretches of the season, whether due to Open Cup or otherwise, where we're going to have a bunch of matches in a really short period of time. And so having that fitness level early on makes it so that we're ready for that stretch, and especially with the extra depth that we have right now. Santos says, if someone brings up Arsenal, you will be hunted down. And then, of course, Cisco brought up Arsenal right before that. And Liam asked about, if anyone else has thought that Dylan Remick was better than Adam Lundqvist. And the point that I made, and he noted in chat, is that the difference between the two is Lundqvist was coming into MLS for the first time with the Dynamo. Dylan had the advantage of having played for Seattle in big matches as a sub, and actually 1 or 2 matches as a starter as well because of injuries. So he understood what was needed from, in MLS terms. Remick was not as good crossing or running at players as Adam is. Lundqvist is incredible running at players, and his crossing is on point. It's like we took Brad Davis and we cloned him into a younger version that plays left back instead of left mid. It's phenomenal, and I love it. And if Adam can just learn to do that on free kicks, holy crap, it's going to be fantastic. But Dylan had the advantage of all the extra experience that he had. Plus, he was older at the time, so he was more mature in terms of his soccer, his play. And I think that shows a little bit. But I also think that's the advantage of a younger, bringing in a younger player like Adam that has, just as high of a ceiling, if not higher, is that player can develop in that role over time. And, he then has a higher ceiling, not only because of that, his talent level's higher, but he also has a higher ceiling because he's not expected to already be at that point. I like Cisco's point. We played 7 matches in 3 weeks, and now we're playing 1 match across this 3-week span. I mean, we didn't play a match the week before. We played a match Saturday, and now we're not playing a match this week at all. And I think that's a good point. MLS scheduling is dumb. Flat out, it's dumb. Some of it has to do with the teams that we're playing in those matches, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't have played another match on Saturday or Sunday or Friday or whatever. It kind of upsets me that we're not, because those types of layoffs can actually be bad for a team, especially when they're on a roll and have momentum in their favor. Did you abandon me, Edson? Am I all alone by myself now? All by myself.
Oh, yeah.
You're good. No, go ahead, play it. Go ahead. We'll play it now. This is a Tomas interview.
No, I'm finding the actual segment.
Oh, you're finding it. Got you. Am I the only one that can hear that? Because if they can't hear it, I sound stupid right now.
Well, I had the microphone muted, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they can't. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, hey guys, I just got to listen to one of the interviews. I don't know who it was, but he's trying to find the interview.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and go on a quick little break, about 5 minutes. When we come back, we'll continue to talk here on Gen Orange. So don't go away just yet. We should be back in about 5 minutes.
And during the break, guys, make sure you like and share the video. That's appreciated. But also pop your questions into chat. If you're not going to call in tonight, which, by the way, the phone lines are open, 956-622-5977. That number again is 956-622-5977. It's down there somewhere, like that direction or that direction. Up. It's over there. It's over there. There. I don't know, one of those directions. Go ahead and call in if you have questions, or you can pop them in chat. We'll be happy to answer them and have some discussion around it. We're hoping you guys remain as engaged as you are right now, because we're going 2 hours tonight and we don't have any show notes planned because I've had the week of weeks, and Edson's busy as well. So, hey guys, y'all do me a solid and add some more questions in there for us to talk about.
All right.
See you in 5.
We'll be back.
Nobody said it'd be easy, but we took a train to the ceiling. And now I own all of my feelings. Don't wake me up from this dream. I bought a one-way ticket to space. Let's
And welcome back, everybody, to Generation Orange. So, oh, there you are, Sean.
I'm here.
So, I found the video, guys, and I'll go ahead and play it for you right now. It was not Tomas, it was Mauro Manotas. But let's take a listen to what he said. Remember, this was after the away match against Tigres. I want to thank my friend Raul Lopez for getting us this video right out of Monterrey. So here we go.
Mauro, termina ese torneo, pero continúan en la liga y en otras diferentes competiciones. ¿Qué les deja de experiencia este torneo para el futuro?
No, increíble. Una experiencia hermosa. Me voy con la mentalidad y con la tranquilidad de poder darlo todo por el equipo. He sudado la camiseta, los 90, los 180 minutos que vamos contra Tigre y contra Toya. Y me voy con esa sensación hermosa de poder volver a sentir lo que es la pasión del fútbol latinoamericano, de ir a Guatemala y sentirse como si estuviera en Colombia y venir acá y sentirse como si estuviera en el Metropolitano de Barranquilla, con una afición espectacular y con 40.000 personas. Es una experiencia hermosa. Y notamos a nosotros también, a nosotros mismos, notamos que sí podemos, que si jugamos contra Tigre de esta manera, podemos jugar con cualquier equipo de la MLS y ganando.
So
I'm gonna need the translation, yo.
all right. So my friend asks him what kind of experience this match left for the team, and pretty much he says like for him personally, like he was happy that he gave it his all for the whole 180 minutes in the match, and he said it was a beautiful experience having to come back and experiencing Latin American atmosphere at the stadium in front of 40,000 people like he did back when he was in Colombia. And then he said, and then for us as a team, playing against Tigres, holding them to the score that we just did has taught us that we can do that. If we played against Tigres like this, we can go up against anybody in MLS and win the MLS Cup.
Man, it's a fair statement. I mean, there's not many teams in MLS that could compete with Tigres, at Tigres. And again, the Dynamo went out and they proved it on the pitch against Tigres, and to Tigres's credit that they were more or less sitting back because they had a good little cushion. They still came forward when they could, but they weren't pushing the matter nearly as much. But we talk about it all the time, especially for forwards, strikers, and apparently wingers. Confidence is a hell of a thing. With Mauro on the at the level of confidence that he's at right now, with Elise at the level of confidence that he's at right now, with Memo clearly at the confidence level that he's at right now. I mean, we said at the top of the show, is there a team right now that could beat the Dynamo? I guess we'll find out eventually, but okay, there's one team that does concern me in MLS right now, and that is SKC. Holy crap, they're on a roll. They look really, really good.
And doesn't it also kind of prove the point how CCL has made these teams better?
Absolutely, for sure. Well, all the teams except for Atlanta, who are they ever actually going to start playing in MLS play? Because it looks like they've just decided to take this season off. They look terrible.
Oh, it's just bad. And then having the coach kind of putting the blame on the players instead of on his, like throwing the players under the bus. Yeah, that's not good.
Cisco makes the point that you've said repeatedly, Edson, on previous shows, that many Liga MX teams wish they could leave Monterrey with a 1-0, leave Monterrey with a 1-0 score line.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to prove that the Dynamo may not be world beaters right now, but they're doing about as good as you could hope for, considering the size of their salary, the salary limitations they have as a result of MLS, and generally speaking, their spending limits.
Mm-hmm.
The struggles that we've seen between RGV to the Dynamo haven't seemed to slow the Dynamo down at all, which is a good thing as well. And the Dynamo are still sending players to RGV, so it shows their commitment to it. Now, whether RGV decide that they want to play like an actual freaking team on the pitch, I mean, that's up to RGV. That's on the Toros. The Dynamo don't have control over how the players play on the pitch. We said that last year when it came to on one of the shows last year, one of the Down in the Valleys last year, in relation to Gerson and how it's not his fault at how the team was playing at the time. And I still feel that way. Like the team right now, the way they're playing, that's not on Gerson. Now he needs to fix it. He needs to figure out how to fix it. But that's just as much on the players. And at some point, the players got to figure it out. They have to be professional and figure it out.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it later. But this match against Tulsa just pretty much proved what I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, that it's not a Gerson thing. It's a players thing. It's incredible how Carlos Esmal, right in front of goal, he just had the keeper to beat after Isidro Martinez, intercepting the ball like almost outside of the box, and your shot goes almost to the corner flag. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. You cannot expect Coach Gerson to sub himself in and score the goals as well.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is, and I hate it for RGV because the team looked so good coming out of last season and had so much potential going into this season, and it's like they just forgot how to play. I mean, maybe at the end of the day, it is the coach, and we said it last year at some point that if this keeps up for long enough, then you have to look at the coach and say, what are you not doing that these players need, or what are you doing that these players are not buying into? And, we already said it's frustrating to see it because the players bought into it towards the second half of last season. And now it's like they've just forgotten how to play. And I don't want this to become an RGV segment yet. That's for later. But it's just, it hurts me to see because I'm like, it's so important for these players to figure that out because we want them ultimately, as many as possible, to become Dynamo players. So.
Yeah.
Thomas notes that SKC did tie Colorado, so that must mean we're better. Santos said, "Nah, just send Atlanta United to USL League One." Liam says Atlanta relegated.
Well, they already have Atlanta United 2 in the championship. So
yeah. I find pleasure in watching them struggle so much right now. Atlanta United. One, I have a coworker that's a huge Atlanta United fan who is down for this incident, actually down here for the incident. And so I've been able to rub it in and it's been glorious. But number two is because we called this very thing happening all of this half of last season, at least, if not longer.
Yeah.
The moment Tata said he was leaving, the moment it was clear that Miggy wasn't going to stick around, there was no doubt. There was no doubt the team was going to struggle this season. And everybody was so high on Atlanta because of the system, because of how they played, because of the players they had, because of who they brought in, and Pity. Pity's looked literally like a pity. It's been crappy. And it's glorious. Barco looks terrible. And it just warms the cold my heart.
And how much did Atlanta United pay for those players?
More than the salary of every Dynamo player combined.
And people still want us to spend we have limitless amount of money?
Let me put it this way. Right now, this very moment, would Atlanta United trade Albert Elise for 2 or 3 players on their team?
Yes.
Oh, they would in a heartbeat. And so all of this talk that they're a better team, they have better talent, it doesn't matter if the talent doesn't show it on the pitch. I bet Joseph wishes he was sold in the offseason like Miggy was.
Yeah.
I'm sure Miggy's sitting over at Newcastle going, oh, hell yeah, I got out at the right time. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of it falls on losing Tata. I mean, you can't lose a world-class coach like that and, fix it. Kudos to the Mexican national team for landing Tata. I'm going to hate the next 5 years. Well, let's see, probably the next 8 years. He'll probably be at least 2 World Cup cycles. I have a feeling.
Well, that's if the Mexican media doesn't trash him in the beginning.
That's true. That's fair. But even if they do, I still think he survives it because he's proven time and time again that he's that good of a coach. I guess we'll see, but you never know. But it's just, I think the player you're talking about, Cisco, from Man U, was Pogba. Pretty sure it was Pogba that did that, but I might be wrong. It just, the combination of everything that's happening right now. If there was ever a season for the Dynamo to play their best soccer, it has to be this season, because there are a lot of good teams that are playing mediocre at best. All the teams that brought in bunches of really good players are struggling so bad right now. I mean, so it makes me feel really good that this team is where they are, playing like they are, and with the injuries that they've had, it feels like with the injuries they've had, if anything, it's made them stronger as a team. I don't understand.
It all goes back to depth. It all goes back into depth. That we have players that if anything happens, they'll step up to the plate whenever they're needed, and they have shown that. In previous seasons, we pretty much had to either improvise or grab players that were not ready to have the to be able to spark the responsibility to start a match. And prime example is the good Kevin Garcia himself.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation on Saturday after the Dash Open practice with Robin Davis, who if you're watching, hi, and we were talking about Kevin Garcia, and the thing is that when Kevin Garcia was brought up, with RGV, he played center back because of the whole losing AJD, losing Andrew Wenger. They had to improvise with Kevin Garcia in a position that's not really comfortable for him, and those matches being pretty much the first experience by most of the Dynamo fans of Kevin Garcia, and seeing him struggle, they automatically, he's a crappy player, and he just hasn't managed to shake off that stigma from most of the Dynamo fans.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, unfortunately, he played so much at right back out of necessity that I think fans just assumed that was his natural position, because very few fans actually followed RGV or his career at RGV or his career before that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clear that he's built to be a center back, not an outside back. And as we've noted repeatedly, and you just noted, he's been a serviceable, if not pretty darn decent center back when he's played at center back. And there are still fans to this day that just, they believe that he can never be a better player, whether it's because he comes from RGV or just because they didn't know any better. I don't know. But let's be fair. If Memo keeps the trajectory he's going on, that can only help Kevin Garcia, because now suddenly, Kevin Garcia came from RGV. Well, so did Memo. There has to be some rub off on that, you would have to imagine, or at least I'm hopeful for Kevin Garcia's sake, because he is a good player and he deserves credit for being a decent to good center back.
I completely agree.
Santos says he forgot to delete his Kevin Garcia tweets. Yeah. Bad on you. Bad on you, Santos. Bad on you.
All hail Kevin Garcia.
I mean, I got to give the guy a little love. He's been, like I said, he's been a decent, serviceable center back for sure.
Yeah.
And he played positions that, again, were not his natural preferred positions, and and yet he did it. He it was that professional mentality. I will play wherever you want me to play. I will do whatever you ask me to do. And that doesn't mean he's going to do it better than other players that are already there, but he's going to do it to the best of his ability. And I don't think that was ever a question with Kevin Garcia when he played right back or outside back for that matter. Was he gave it his all. You would see at the end of the match, that dude had nothing left to give. He put everything on the pitch. And it was good to see, because it shows me he's also got that work ethic, even if it's just during matches. But he's definitely going to give you 100% or more. And that's all you can really ask for. Callis says we only give RGV the best talent. I mean, it's crazy how much the Dynamo have improved over the last 4 seasons. There are a number of MLS teams that would love that kind of improvement and love it to be as consistent as it's been for the Dynamo. You would expect that the result of that would be that when the Dynamo send those players that are far better talents than RGV has traditionally, that would improve RGV's chances when they're playing. And I just haven't seen it yet. And I don't know if that's an RGV struggle. It has to be. I don't know if that's a Gerson struggle. I mean, he's got to take some credit for some blame for it. I don't know if that's on the players. They've got to take some blame too. But at the end of the day, RGV should be a hell of a lot better than they are. And I don't understand where the struggle is coming from. And, Edson, it's time for RGV Express.
I don't.
Choo-choo.
Well, right now it's more like.
No, it's still choo-choo. It's still choo-choo. It's just now at the end they've added the Samuel L. Jackson line of choo-choo, motherfucker.
I don't know. If you guys
All right.
follow me on Twitter, down in the RGV, it's pretty apparent where my criticism is with how this season has been so far for the Toros and the way the Dynamo have handled their loans. I understand that the Dynamo point of view, they need these players to get minutes. But if you look at it from the RGV point of view, those are positions we don't need. We really did not need reinforcements. Our reinforcements were needed up on top, where apparently our strikers cannot put a goal, even if it wasn't on the rainbow. I mean, that's how bad they've been. And then during the international break, we lost Malik Foster, we lost Michael Zalazar, Carlos Small out with a small injury, but so we had to improvise.
That was so bad, man. That was so bad.
Because it was so unintentional.
I'm hurting for you right now.
Because it was so unintentional.
Yeah.
Anyways. But we had to improvise with Wilmer Cabrera Jr., who, I'm sorry, he plays like he's got pudding running through his veins. And you bring in Chuy Enriquez, you bring in Camilo Monroy. This team is completely different. But Chuy Enriquez can't do everything by himself.
Yeah.
Isidro Martinez can't do everything by himself. That the strikers need to put the ball in the net. And if everybody else is doing their job, but your striker is out there in La La Land and doing some experiments to see how far away they can send their shots outside of goal, what can you do? Now, I was talking to Jacob, one of the things he told me was, well, why didn't they send Ronaldo Pena during the international break to RGV if they knew that we had no strikers for the game against El Paso? Which is I think is a really, really, really good concern. We did not need Fuenmayor. We did not need Chris Duval, which, by the way, Chris Duval and Sam Junqua, oh no, I just hope they'd never come back. It was just so bad. Robert Coronado was doing so good at left back position. Samuel Adams was doing decent. And because of those 2 matches where they didn't play against Fresno and Tulsa, their momentum was pretty much cut. And against Tulsa, Andrew Samuels just looked a little bit lost sometimes. And my biggest concern right now is this team, for some reason, does not react until after they're already down. When they're 2-0 down, we need to play. And so they're always playing with their backs against the wall. and you can't let yourself do that. You have to impose your style. You have to impose your play in the 90 minutes, not just when you're behind. When you can't show your best football when you're behind, you gotta get some sort of lead. Because yes, against El Paso, you managed to scrape the equalizer, but guess what? Against Tulsa, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Cisco, like I said, it was during the international break. The Dynamo had no game.
So Callow says we gave them a full MLS front line and still they complain. How do you feel about that, Edson?
See, I would like it better if these MLS players would have had that they were going to send would have had at least more than a couple of hours before the game to train with RGV. They'd have a little bit more of an idea on how Kyle Adams plays, how he commands the back line. But you bring them in the night before, they don't know how each other plays, and so there's going to be some miscommunication in the back.
You know, it's interesting because Glenn Davis has said this repeatedly, that having the Dynamo USL affiliate or USL club or whatever you want to call it in the Valley poses a struggle on the coaching staff.
I agree.
Because you do want to send those players down there, and you want to send players that need to get minutes down there. But like you noted, sometimes that has to be done on really short notice. Sometimes that's the fault of MLS. Sometimes that's the fault of the Dynamo. Sometimes that's just the result of MLS versus USL scheduling.
Well, you have to remember what AJD told us last season when he was down at RGV. Even though he knew that he had to come back to RGV, he still needed to come back for Houston for the whole week. He still needed to train with Houston.
Yep. And that's the thing. If the Toros and the Dynamo were both in Houston, or if at least the Dynamo were in Houston and the Toros were in a suburb or within like an hour drive, so the Woodlands, Sugarland, somewhere south side, I guess Webster would be a good one, or maybe Pearland, somewhere in that general vicinity, then, or even out in Katy would be a good place too. That's an hour drive into Houston. That's not a big deal. You can make that, and it's not too big a deal to send them for a weekend and then have them come back for the week to practice. But that trip to RGV, that's an 8-hour trip, 7-hour trip?
Say 6 at most.
6-hour trip. And then you do the one practice, the one match, and then you turn right around and you have to make that trip back. I mean, that's mentally and physically exhausting in and of itself, and psychologically exhausting. And then you have to turn around and do it at, do the practice part of that with the Dynamo. That's a rough thing to ask young players to take on and do, and especially consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love the RGV connection, but I wonder if, and I've talked about this with you guys on Down in the Valley, and I think I talked about it on Gen Orange too. I wonder if the Dynamo would be better served to have 2 affiliates in USL, maybe one in USL Championship and one in USL League One.
Yeah, League One,
which is the one tier below the USL Championship.
Correct.
If they had a League One team that was in Houston itself, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Dynamo have intentions to do that.
Because League Two, you have Brazos Valley Cavalry.
Yeah, the PDL club.
Yeah, you don't have what
used to be PDL.
Yeah, you don't have anything in League One, and in Championship you have the Toros.
Sure. So if they had a team in League One that could essentially be a top tier League One team, which they would be easily, in Houston, or like I said, a surrounding suburb of Houston within an hour or maybe even 2 hours away, then you're able to send players there to get minutes. You're able to send players there to get fitness. You're able to send players there to develop. The only drawback is League One. It's not the championship. So there's a struggle there. And again, you can do that with RGV, but there's a significant greater burden placed on the individual players when they go to RGV, as opposed to if it was a Houston suburb. And again, I love the relationship with RGV, and I think there's a great benefit there. It's just, I think there's some technical, tactical, strategic things that need to be figured out, and I'm not exactly sure how they overcome those hurdles. One of the major ones being the distance. It's a long distance to do, and to do that over the course of a weekend and then make that drive back. Edson is someone who does it frequently. That's exhausting mentally, psychologically, even physically.
It is.
And to have a full week of essentially what is your work schedule after you make that and then turn around and do it again, I mean, that's exhausting. And and if all they're going down there for is to get that fitness, those match minutes, where's the balance in that? Is that psychological, mental, and physical exhaustion going into practice the next day worth it for the trip down to RGV for a few 30, 45, 60 minutes in a match, at the USL championship level? I don't know how they deal with that. I don't know how they overcome it. I think they're trying to figure it out, but frankly, it's not working as well as we'd like on either side of the equation, obviously, but I don't want to see RGV go away. I think there's a huge opportunity for RGV to be that team in that area that can help the Dynamo and RGV, for that matter, find talent across, along that border, across the border, and pull them in and help them grow in the Dynamo system, help them grow in RGV's system, and become and improve to better players. But again, I struggle with the other side of it, which is that when the Dynamo do send players down there, they come back more exhausted than they were when they went, even if they've only played a few minutes, because the drive itself, the trip itself, is that physically, mentally, and psychologically exhausting.
Yeah. It's going to take a lot of discussion between both parties. Because I feel that both parties are kind of stubborn in what they want and aren't really listening to each other to how to make this relationship better. And so I sincerely hope that hopefully we can find a way to help bridge that lack of communication between both front offices and make this better, because it only benefits both teams when the process is being works like a clock. And right now it isn't. The Dynamo is doing good because of all of their scouting. With RGV right now, it's pretty much the, how can I say it? Like pretty much like the afterthought of Matt Jordan scouting, because remember, they still do the scouting for RGV, and on paper these players don't look bad. Some of these young guys have youth national team caps, like Nico Lemoyne. The issue here is, for some reason, there is an apparent lack of connection between the strikers. And if RGV could put in the opportunities that they create, because they do create a lot of opportunities, then it wouldn't really matter as much when the team does have some mental lapses in the back line. But because they're not putting it in, and the defense has the occasional mental lapse, or if for some reason, like against Tulsa, they score an authentic golazo that nobody, not even Superman, could stop, then your back is against the wall. Carlos Esmal could have tied that game before the 2-0 was scored, and the momentum would have greatly shifted from Tulsa to RGV. And what happened? He misses that. He howls that. The morale and for the rest of the first half went down.
Yeah.
And now
like I said,
and now you have Malik Foster and Michael Salazar, Michael Salazar has MLS experience. He is capped with the Belize national team. Malik Foster with Jamaica. So we do have better players like we have asked from the Dynamo for this team. but the players that are on the pitch, for some reason, they haven't connected with each other. And until that happens, we might not be able to see the results that this team on paper deserves. But this is all on the players, but coach has to help them out a little as well.
Do you think any of this from Saturday has to do with what we talked about last week, which was the response of the fans towards the players?
I don't think so. I don't think so because
it was a genuine question. It wasn't me hinting at anything.
No. I get you, but I don't think this is because their morale went down because of the boost. I think this is more along the lines that I think it's just mentality wise on them, independent of the boost, because you can see that you can see that even through the fact that they can't score. The rest of the players are putting in their all. You see Chuy Enriquez fighting for every ball out there, putting in the crosses, having to deal with 2 or sometimes 3 players marking him. Yeah. And he's out there running like the full 90 minutes.
Yep.
So it's not like, we don't care about the fans. It's just something that's happening with these players that for some reason they cannot execute what they've already shown they could do, which is score goals. Because then just take a look at their offseason, and they scored so many goals. Then all of a sudden the season kicks off and they forgot how to do it? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair. Sometimes it's just a matter of, we talked about it last year. We talked about it earlier too. Confidence is a hell of a thing. And a lack of confidence can be just as detrimental to a striker as a boatload of it can be positively impactful for a striker. And, some of it is they really should be hitting the goal frame a little bit better. But Mauro went through the same things too. So, I mean, it's fair to say Mauro was not always hitting the goal at RGV. Early on, I remember even in MLS matches, he struggled with that. Some of that is confidence. Some of that is the coach needs to instill that confidence. Some of that is just players struggling. And it may just be, unlucky as it is, that players are struggling at the same time. That happens. But I think I tend to agree with you that if players are out there putting in their all, you would think that the strikers would specifically up their level of intensity to try to overcome that. And maybe they're trying to. Maybe it's just that they're not figuring it out yet. I don't know. I haven't seen enough RGV matches to say, it's this tactical thing or whatever it may be. But there's definitely something that needs to be addressed there. And it's got to start with someone. Someone has to stand up and say, look, I take responsibility for this. And it can't necessarily specifically be the coach. And, Chuy did it last year on the show, on Down in the Valley in his interview. He said, look, I as a player take some of that responsibility on myself. We have to be better. I have to be better. And what did he do? He went out there and he got better. Mm-hmm. And, the other players right now that are struggling, they need to look themselves in the mirror and do the same thing. Look, I can't expect other players to pick me up every time. Sometimes I have to pick myself up. Sometimes I have to figure it out. Sometimes I have to be the bigger person and say, I can't figure this out on my own. Help me. Or maybe, hey, coach, I need a slight break so that I can figure this out. Or, hey, coach, help me figure out why the frick I can't hit the damn goal frame. Whatever it is, it's, hey, I need to put in the extra hours after practice or the extra time after practice doing just one touch shots, first timers. I need to practice my half volleys. I need to practice my headers. I need to, whatever it is. I mean, again, we saw, there's the video that was released of Memo and AJD practicing outside of practice not individually, together, away from the pitch, away from the practice pitch. And they were doing drills together. They were doing, and if there's not that commitment at RGV right now, then that is a very big concern and a very big frustration, because that, and, we talk about it all the time as well, that you have to have that professional mentality. And if those players that are struggling don't have that level of mentality and that level of commitment, they're not going to succeed in MLS, no matter how talented they are.
Yeah.
You got to put in the effort on and off the pitch. This goes to any young player out there who's watching, maybe Barron, I don't know. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort, and you have to keep putting in the time and effort. You don't always immediately see the return, but if you make that time and that effort investment, you will eventually see the return. But you can't stop. You have to keep doing it. Proof is in Memo. Proof is in what he's doing. Proof is in what he's done. Keep it up. I promise you'll figure it out, but you got to keep doing it, and you got to keep pushing yourself. I think we should take a break so I can eat some pizza and breadstick.
All right. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go away just yet.
Ow!
this, you need a makeup artist. I'm listening, trying to figure where your heart is. I pick apart, trying to figure where the art is. Couple minutes, you'll be swimming in the darkness. Couple lyrics from the gang, gang, gang. That'll bang, bang, bang. Man, I'm looking all bang now. Couple minutes for the gang, gang, gang. Spit slang so man, man, I'm looking at a pack down. Come around with a big man vibe. Get a 2-2 slap and a bigger man pat down. It's foreign beggars on a bruck out thing. When I shut down shop in a little man background. I'm a straight up breakout. Worldwide shut down, I'm a breakout. Big moves, big G's, I'm a breakout. More tracks, more racks for the breakout. More food, man, I'm looking like takeout. Now fools like cookies and a steakout. Bare bites for the lash for the breakout. Gang, 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 it's a breakout.
Yeah, certain man live for the hype. Some man a kill for a name. Seen a lot of man live for the likes. The things people do for the fame. The things people do to remain in view when the games are skewed. This is strange. Me, I peep the whole scene from a distance. Watch it unfold frame by frame. I've been steady up in levels. Training heavy with the rebels while they're dealing with the devil. I'm out dealing out the heckles like my skin was made of metal. I've been raising hell out here in the jungle. Pick up my brothers who stumble. That shit ain't nothing. I couldn't break down to rubble. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Break out.
I'm a straight up breakout. Worldwide shut down, I'm a breakout. Big moves, big G's, I'm a breakout. More tracks, more racks for the breakout. More food, man, I'm looking like takeout. Now feels like cookies at a stakeout. Bare bites for the lash for the breakout. Gang, 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 it's a breakout.
All right, guys, we are back for the last, I would say, 30 minutes of Generation Orange. Hope you guys have enjoyed this live stream.
The time has flown by.
It has. Hope you guys have enjoyed this live stream so far. If you guys have not liked this video, be sure to like it. Be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And phone lines are still open if anybody wants to have a quick chats before 9 o'clock. We're only going until 9 o'clock today, but we really appreciate you guys' support for Generation Orange, and we hope that we continue to bring you all the coverage for our local Houston Dynamo Dash and a little bit of RGV as well.
Yep. What we talking about, Edson?
All right. So we already talked about RGV, RGV Express. Guess we can talk a little bit about the Dash. No, Callow, it's not my blame. Why is it always me? Why always me? Come on.
Well, you did post the. We all saw the RGV Discord. Message that got retracted really fast. You don't get away with that one. Sorry, Edson. So that's where the blame Edson came from on that one.
Well, you know.
So Alex, before we get into the Dash, Alex posted a link to, and I posted it in chat, a link to an article from Pro Soccer USA ranking the MLS players 1 to 20 for the week.
Yeah.
Or 20 to 1 as the case may be. Memo placed 4th overall, which I think is fair. And Elise placed 3rd. The only 2 players to beat them out were Wayne Rooney, who had a remarkable match, so can't blame that, and Carlos Vela, who also had a remarkable match. I actually feel like Pro Soccer USA actually is giving the Dynamo some credit here to have 2 players in the top 5. And, the players played well, but even still, there's been times they both would have been overlooked repeatedly. So,
oh yeah,
it's definitely good to see that there's some respect coming for sure. There was something we talked about earlier, and it was something, man, I just blanked again. Okay, I blame my work week for not remembering things right now because my mind is... Alex notes that Zlatan was 15. He was, yeah, he's 15th. But there was something you said about, and it was in relation to the Dynamo. It's, as a fan base, are we going to wait until the Dynamo struggle to back the team? I mean, we're 4 matches into the season. We're going to be 5 in 2 weeks because we have this week off, which means, by the way, we'll be probably talking more Dash next week as well, using that opportunity to really pump up their first match of the season, which is April 14th, which is literally just right around the corner. A reminder for all of you who are listening, if you attend the Dash match on April 14th, I will be there so long as I'm not deployed somewhere out of the blue. I will be there. And if you come up and you say hello to me in the Bayou City Republic, not Bayou, sorry. Yes, Bayou City Republic.
You
I
had
got
it right.
first
You
time.
had it right.
Bayou City Republic section, which is the SG section right behind the goal. If you come up to me and you say hi, I will buy you a beverage from one of the concession stands. That can be during the match at any point because I'm going to be there the whole time unless I'm buying someone a beverage, and then I won't be there. But come say hi to me for sure if you want a free beverage during the Dash match. And again, even more to the point, the Dash right now have great deals on tickets. That is something that Cisco wanted us to talk about, which is the Dynamo having so much trouble with that ticket sale that they had yesterday.
The BOGO?
The buy one get one free sale. A lot of fans noted that the only tickets that were buy one get one free were in the hundreds section, which I think is fair. Those tickets run $20 to $30, but buy one get one free means you're paying the same price for those tickets that you would pay for upper level tickets, for two of them anyways. And then they're going to have that promotion at the same match, or at least in upcoming matches, I should say. I don't remember what those tickets were specifically for, which match, but they are going to have the special concessions pricing at those upcoming matches. Yeah, the 713 pricing at those matches as well. And that's really important because fans complained about concession pricing, so the Dynamo are turning around and giving them cheaper concessions. They did it with the happy hour pricing. That went over decently enough, so now they're rolling it out as a full-on, full match promotion for those specific matches. If you're not sure which those matches are, Google 713 matches or go to HoustonDynamo.com and look it up. I promise you it's on there. Like $1 hot dog, $2 soda, $3 beer, I think, something like that. Now, fans have pointed out, well, yeah, sure, but they're not full size. Who the flip cares? I mean, you can't have everything be cheap and free. That's just not how it works. I guarantee you Atlanta are not selling full-size sodas in their concessions at the prices that they advertise. Those are probably 12 ounce or 20 ounce at the most. So newsflash, that's how it works. Sorry, that's just how it works. You still get something for very cheap, even if you don't like it.
I'm pretty sure, like, for the price of one of the big at regular price, you can buy more with as far as hot dogs. You can buy more hot dogs that'll fill you up with less money than actually buying a $7 pizza or $11 burger.
Yeah. Cisco made the point that I would prefer to have people meet me an hour before kickoff for the match on the 14th for the Dash match. That's not actually incorrect, except it would actually be 2 to 3 hours before kickoff, and you can meet me at 8th Wonder. If you meet me at 8th Wonder, not only will I buy you one beverage of your choice, I will buy you 2 beverages of your choice at 8th Wonder. So
Sean is stacked.
I am not stacked. I'm hoping that I'm hoping my mileage and expense checks from this response come in before that, because I'm going to need them. But no, seriously, like I want to, we talked about it before. We talked about it before the season. We talked about it in the early part of the season. We have to be more engaged as a fan base. And if there's something I can do to help improve the support of Bayou City Republic and the support of the Dash, I'm going to do it because they're a part of my Dynamo Dash family. And the Toros are included in that too. And I'll get to that later in the season. But, if I can buy a few people extra drinks and have them become Dash supporters in the process, or, oh, Cisco. Oh, dude, don't say that. Oh, no, don't say that. Oh, I hope nobody from that company sees this. Oh, that makes me uncomfortable, Cisco. Thanks. Cisco, thanks. Oh, Bob. No, Bob. No, Pat. No, Pat. No. Stop. I will literally start having Edson ban people from chat for that kind of crap. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Please don't. I really, really appreciate that more than y'all know. But seriously though, like, if there's something I can do, I'm going to do it. And this is something I can do if it helps a couple people become supporters of the Dash, or helps them support Bayou City Republic more. If it helps them get more involved with the Dash, if it helps them get more involved with the Dynamo by simply attending a Dash match, I don't know, it can happen. I'm going to do it. And, it's going to cost me some money. It's going to hurt my pocketbook a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. It really is. I care about this club, this organization enough to do it. And, I hope that there's other people out there that feel the same way. I know there's guys like Webb Tilton that go to every freaking away match they can possibly go to. That's a lot of money that dude's spending on travel. It really, really is. And yet he does it. And he does it without complaining, for the most part. He complains every once in a while, but it's usually not about Dynamo-related stuff. And so it's hashtag do our part. It really is. And I'm going to do whatever I can to do my part. And we talked about it at the beginning of the season. I am specifically putting my time, my effort where my mouth is. And I'm going out and doing what I can to help grow the game, help grow support of both the Dynamo, the Dash, and later this season, also the Toros. I did not see it, Cisco. That's my fault. I guess that was my clue to check my phone. Nope, I don't have anything from Cisco this week. I had plenty last week. That's probably why he's not texting me this week, because I ignored him last week unintentionally. But, I appreciate people like Callow that take, coworkers and employees to matches, whether it's Dynamo or Dash. I appreciate people like Pat that have taken friends and family to Dash and Dynamo matches, even if it's in the supporter section. I appreciate the people that do that. I have respect for that, because it's not necessarily cheap. It's not necessarily easy. And sometimes it's exhausting to do that. It really can be. But if it's enough to get them involved with the club, or enough to get them involved in the organization, isn't that worth it? Isn't it worth it to put in that little bit extra effort? Everybody out there, isn't it worth it to put in that little extra effort if it means that the fan base will start attending matches again? I don't know what it's going to take. I really don't. But I genuinely believe that if we don't start doing something now, that we're not going to ever see any change. Mm-hmm. We can't rely on or expect the front office to make changes if we're not willing to meet them at least halfway. And that means getting up, going out and doing your part. That means getting up, going out and supporting however you can. For some people, that means staying in your section where you're at and being supportive, being loud. For some people, that means just hanging out and introducing yourself to people around you, and that's totally cool. You don't have to be in the supporters group to support the team. And I hope that is something that we really push this year, is that you don't have to be part of the supporters groups to be a Dynamo supporter. Being part of the Dynamo supporters groups does not make you a better supporter of the club. I guess that extends to RGV too, huh?
I don't think we've had a problem with that.
Was that a specific clearing of your throat? I'm just we won't go into that. But at the end of the day, look, I don't care. I really don't care about I don't care for people, fans, who say, I sit in a supporter section, or I cheer from the supporter section,
or anybody
else, or I travel to away games, or whatever it may be. I do this thing, and that makes me a better supporter. At the end of the day, if you're comparing yourself to other fans, here's a gut check, reality check for you. You're in it for something other than supporting the club. Amen. If you truly supported the club, if you truly loved the club, if you truly had passion for the club, for the organization, at the end of the day, you wouldn't be bad-mouthing somebody else for not standing up and chanting, or not being in the supporter section, or not taking a road trip with everybody, or, God forbid, not having an instrument, whatever it may be. You wouldn't badmouth for that to them or about them. Instead, you know what you would do? You'd reach across that aisle, you'd grab them, and you'd pull them. You'd wrap your arm around them. You'd sing and you'd dance with them. You would say, hi, how you doing? My name is so-and-so. What's your name? At the end of the day, you'd care more about the fans around you than you care about yourself. And if you're in it to say, I'm a better supporter than someone else, you're in it for yourself. And I'm tired of that mentality. in supporters in the Dynamo, whether you're in the supporters groups or not. That mentality has to die if we really truly want to see this thing grow. Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm going to do everything in my power to see that happen. It's going to rub people the wrong way, and I frankly don't give a rat's ass because I don't care about that. Because that is the cancer that has sucked the life out of our fan base. And I can't stand it anymore. I'm done with that. So be you, do you. Cheer and support you. Cheer and support the way you want to support and cheer. Because, man, I'll go to battle for you. I will bleed. I will sweat. I will cry with you if that's what it takes. Because you're my family. And family doesn't beat up someone else because they're not the same type of family. Or they're not family as much as me because they don't go to every family reunion. It's not how it works. No. You're family because you're blood.
I don't know. It's just like some people like use the excuse of the team to kind of stroke their ego, like you say. And if you're in it for the wrong reason, if you are basing everything that you do, if you're showing the love that you say you have for this team, and yet you go and instead of uniting the fan base, your actions are dividing the fan base, then you don't love this club. If that's the way you think, because if you truly love this club, you would make it accessible for anybody else to join in on the fun, or at least be welcoming to newcomers, not necessarily in the supporters groups, but in the stadium in general. You would make the atmosphere better. You would do your part to make sure that this stadium is as family friendly as possible. You would make it better without having to make people feel bad because, oh, I guess I'm not as good as the Dynamo supporter that I am because I just don't have the financial means to take a trip to Guatemala, take a trip to Monterey, take a trip to New York, whatever. I guess I'm not a huge Dynamo supporter. Or I guess I'm not a huge Dynamo supporter because I am not there doing this or doing that. There are some people that may not have the mentality of sacrificing their general life or the money that it takes for them to sustain themselves day by day or week by week, whatever it is, and putting it on the Dynamo. Nobody's asking for you to sacrifice your everyday life, your sustainability to show the love for this team. As all we ask is just pretty much show support in whatever you think is deemed necessary. Some people might. I don't care if people think that it's not enough to be called a super supporter. Nobody cares about that. It shouldn't matter. Just as long as you, for a simple little thing, as just wearing a jersey when you're out there grocery shopping or buying a car or doing anything, just a simple little thing like that, or talking with people that are wearing soccer jerseys and talking to them about the Dynamo, about the Dash, about RGV, letting them know that there's a team here that they can support. That makes a bigger difference in growing the fan base than posting pictures of yourself or saying that, oh, I get everybody else, to all those who didn't do this so-and-so, yeah, you're not as real supporters as I am. That does nothing, and I don't give a damn about what you do. What do you want me to do? You want a cookie? You want me to applaud you? No. And if you're going to act like a snob in doing that, then we don't want you. Then I don't want you. Because you're giving the Dynamo fan base a bad name. There, I said it. I'm purged. I'm free. Come at me, bro.
I mean, it's it's clear that there is a contingency, however large it may be, of fans over the last few seasons, at the very least, who have grown fed up with certain things, certain attitudes, certain perceptions, certain portrayals of the support. And I think it's all fair, to say the least. Now, that's not true of every supporter. It's not true of every fan. That's not true of the entire fan base. But there's definitely those who try to turn being a supporter into their own club. Try to turn being a supporter into this elite status thing. And at the end of the day, those 1,000 LAFC fans that traveled to San Jose, which, by the way, wasn't a super far trip. I just want to throw it out there. It's like Houston to Dallas or Houston to Frisco. Actually, I think it's shorter than Houston to Frisco, maybe like 3 hours for them as opposed to like 4.5 for us. But those fans that went, I guarantee you, of the fans that went, not all of them were supporters. I guarantee you that not all of them were part of their supporters group. Or, yeah, because I think they've only got one actually out there. I guarantee you that not all those fans were season ticket holders. I guarantee you not all those fans attended other watch parties, like away watch parties. But at the end of the day, they were able to organize it. Because guess what? It's not an elite status thing. It's a come, let's be a family and hang out and cheer and support our team. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, that's what it's got to be about, man. It really, really does. And especially if we want to if we ever want to have 1,000 of our fans in Frisco's stadium and completely drown out their entire stadium. Oh, hey, we did that a couple years ago. But if we want to do it again with a team right now that's going to wreck shop on FCD when the time comes, then it starts with us right now embracing other fans, embracing those who are on the fence, and getting them involved, getting them engaged, and being engaged ourselves. Calvin says LA to San Jose is 5 hours and 40 minutes according to Google.
Oh.
That's true, but it depends on where they left from out of the city. Just throwing it out there.
So I want to give a huge shout out to Bob the Boozer. He tipped $50.
Pat says, you want us to get sanctioned again for made up shit? No, I don't. I want to go into, I in a few years when the ban is lifted in 2020, like Santos said, I want to have 1,000 of us go, man. I want that place to be so rocking that MLS is not going to come down with sanctions. I don't care if Frisco kicks us out. But, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's going to happen. I'm feeling it. It's going to happen. There's enough excitement right now that I truly believe it can happen. And, you know, I think it's also different. LA had the LAFC and San Jose had the advantage. It was a weekend match. I'd like a weekend match in Frisco where I could actually bus up to Frisco and not have to take off work for the match. Mm-hmm. Like leave on an early Saturday morning and still get there in plenty of time. I mean, I honestly, if it's a Saturday match like that, or even a Sunday match, I don't think there's any concern for most fans making it that want to, you know, that would go for that. Cause it's not going to be expensive because it's only a few hours. And it's a bus ride. So that means you can sleep on the bus on the way there or on the way back. There will be plenty of booze flowing, so it's not like people are not going to get their money's worth. But you know, I just look at the supporter thing, man, and it hurts me because being a supporter is so much more than sitting in a section. It's so much more than standing up and chanting. It's so much more than jumping up and down. It's so much more than banging on drums or playing trumpets or playing trombones or passing out song sheets. It's so much more than waving a flag, throwing streamers, running banners, you know, tossing banners over an edge or pulling a banner up over your head. It's so much more than firing a cannon. Being a supporter at the end of the day means you live and you die by your team, whether for the good or for the bad. And look, I will raise my hand and say in the past, I definitely viewed support as a totally different thing. I viewed support as you could support and still be negative about the team, and I think you can still be negative about the team, but I think sometimes you have to be careful to do that in a forum or in a place where you're not going to deter other potential fans from supporting the club as well. So I just, man, I hope my passion for this comes through. I really do love and appreciate every one of you in chat right now, and I'm not trying to get like mushy emotional or anything, but y'all are all my friends, every last one of you. And every time I see one of you, whether it's at a watch party or at a match, I am bolstered by that, because I know that it's a reminder of how this Dynamo Toros family has bonded, just through the YouTube chat, just through the show. And it's proof positive that there is a group of people out there that are willing to forget the past, willing to move past the past, willing to unite for one cause, and willing to truly ignore what our differences are, and willing to care less about themselves than they are to care about the others that they're hanging out with. And at the end of the day, that's all I want from support and supporters. I just want people to care about the team and care about the family. Everything else is superfluous. Dude, we haven't seen each other in years at this point. Okay, it's only been a few weeks, but it feels like years. Cisco says Sean acts like he hasn't seen me in years when he sees me. I mean, it's true. We used to see each other like once a week, and now it's like I'm lucky if I see you every 3 weeks. But I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like, Alex says this group is pretty close and most know each other personally. It's true. And part of that came from Andres starting the Dynamo Discord. But some of it's also just come from, we just hang out whenever we can, for Dynamo stuff, whether it's away watch parties or whatever. We talk to each other outside of the matches. And that's what I mean by family. It's more than just the game. It's more than just the match day experience. It's more than just the one moment. It's a series of moments throughout the week, throughout the season, that have bonded us all together in some way, shape, or form. And it's a bond that I'm thankful for. Genuinely, honestly thankful for. That's all I got to say.
I think that pretty much summarizes everything. Because I feel like so many people have lost the basics, that they've really forgotten the true definition of what a supporter is. And I think you put it the best way possible. And I hope people will wake up and understand that the way things are they are acting, whether on social media or even in person or at the stadium, that something's got to change for the sake of this team that you supposedly love. And there's really not much more to say about that.
It's really not. So let me ask you a question, and this is because we have a few minutes to kill. What news item from soccer this week do you have, or even the last 2 or 3 weeks? We haven't done an actual notes from around the world of soccer.
Well, that Solskjaer was actually hired as the full-time coach for Manchester.
Can you blame United right now? I mean, it's like watching Tata take over their team at this point. I mean, it's incredible. Their turn.
We actually have a call right now.
Oh, snap. Hey, 5 minutes. I don't hear it, by the way.
Welcome to Generation Orange.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, is that Calais? Is that
No,
the one and only true Canadian Dynamo fan? Oh, it's Alex. Damn. I was hopeful. That's okay, Alex. We love you too.
Oh, that's hurtful right there.
Oh, that's not hurtful. We love you. You have a 65-inch TV. I'm about to become real good friends with you. And you're not far away from me, which is even better.
I live like an old townhome, but I'm right here. You know where the dog track's at?
Yeah.
I'm like 3 minutes from there. And seriously, there's not a lot of neighbors that really love soccer, but they know when a soccer game's coming on, they're going to hear screaming. They're going to hear music. The TV's going to be really loud. My 11-year-old boy is allowed to scream and say some cuss words. It just depends on what kind of shit's going on. My son only is allowed to cuss if it involves the Dynamo game and some horse shit. So that's pretty much about it. But no, I just wanted to make one comment. I'm not going to keep y'all like I've done before, but all of us mostly, like, we communicate on other platforms. We communicate. I think the Discord thing, it was one of the most awesome things that is super, super cool because, you know, we have friendships with everybody and we're able to, you know, kind of communicate during the day, check in, see something. I think that was a great idea. I think our subreddit is actually pretty strong and we have, you know, a good amount of communication there from new people and other people. And I think the thing is just we need to make this broader. Like I tell every single person I come in contact with that, you know, we have a team. It's a soccer team. We have our own stadium. A year and a half ago, my wife, we both wore full jerseys, and we went to eat at Monterey's Little Mexico restaurant. Where was it? In Dickinson? And they were like, "Oh, do y'all play soccer?" And I'm like, "No, this is cute." Like they thought, number one, I'm fat. Number two, I'm like, how do these people not know that we have a fucking soccer team that represents our city? Like, I was so embarrassed, and I was actually pissed off at this little 19-year-old kid. I'm like, no, this is our team. We have our own stadium. This is, like, kind of a big deal. And they're like, oh, I never knew that. And I'm like, how do you not know that? You live in Houston metropolitan area, but what are we, 4 million, 5 million? But I disagree, and I do everything that I can. Everyone I talk to, friends, acquaintances, everything, I just tell them, you need to go to a game. You really need to go to a game because people don't realize how exciting it is. People tailgate, and they're like, what? People tailgate around a soccer game? And I'm like, no, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy stupid. You need to experience it. And any person from what Aaron and I've taken at least a half dozen to a dozen people to games, and they're like, this is nuts. Like, I never knew this was happening in my city, in H-Town. And we just need to get people to experience that the first time. Because once they see it the first time and they sit in a good section, there's some sections that are better than other sections. Web section is good. 225 is a crazy section with that guy from, where's he, England, Scotland? He's just loud as can be. The guy with the kilt and the Squidward thing. I mean, there's so many unique people and fans that we've had, but it's just a matter of getting people in seats and just doing it for the first time. And actually, you know, going to Dynamo games since the Robertson days, you know, we've had a lull for a little bit. I'm actually really proud of the front office. They've done some things that are different.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't able to afford season tickets this year. We just weren't able to do that. And the deals that they actually produced allowed me and my wife, me and my 11-year-old boy, to be able to go to these games. I would not have been able to go to the games if they did not have these deals, quite honestly. Sure. And I loved to be at every game. So that literally made the difference of having a couple more seats filled. And I applaud them for that. So,
and you know, it's on, look, and I've said this in previous episodes or previous shows, it's on us as fans to recognize the front office is making the effort, and if we as fans don't return that in the same way and make the effort in return, then why would they feel like they should? And why would they feel like they should continue those deals? Like, if we don't take advantage of the deals that they offer, then we shouldn't expect them to continue to make more deals. That's just not how that works. Like, if they don't see a return on the investment they're making in it, then they're not going to continue doing it. It's as simple as that. And you're right. It's on us. I mean, it's on us as a fan base. And you know, it's true about a lot of things. If the front office is making the effort in relation to supporters groups, It's on the supporters groups to show that they respect and appreciate that and make that effort back. You make a good point too, and I hope this comes across as well. You don't have to attend Dynamo matches to be a Dynamo supporter. And
no, not at all.
And I think that there are some that would say, "Oh, you have to go to every match." That's not how this works. Soccer's a sport, man, and there's
buy the merch, spread the message.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I mean, go to a local bar near you. If you're in the Houston area, you can find a local bar. Ask them to turn the game on. I mean, it seems like a simple, stupid thing, but you'd be surprised how many other people ask, "Oh, hey, is that the Dynamo game?" And you'd be like, "Yeah," and then you could start talking about the Dynamo. I mean,
they're like, "Who the fuck are the Dynamo?" And we're like, "Oh, God, there you go. It's a conversation starter." And it's kind of hard from where I'm at on my side of town. Probably a little bit easier, like in Webster and Clear Lake. I think they're a little bit more open. I know there's some bars that show rugby matches and stuff like that, but down here it's kind of scarce. But anyways, like I'm not gonna. I know I've kept y'all before for like almost an hour, so I'm gonna let y'all go. But like I said, I think it's great. I think do what now?
I said if you keep going, we'll just make it 3.
No, we're not going to do my wife's going to kick my ass because she just got off work about a half an hour ago. She's already, I got to do good with the wife. But hey, man, I love y'all. I love all of y'all, and I love the group that we have, and all of us know each other, and all of us have met each other, and y'all have done a great job with continuing this because I know the previous iteration, like of the Peel, stuff going on, so they weren't able to continue that. But of course, I love Justin, I love Josh, and I love all of y'all. And I just think it's great that we have this community, within each other, and we just keep on striving and keep on doing what we can. I love Houston. I'm born and raised in Houston or Galveston or Pasadena, South Houston, whatever. But H-Town's my town. Like I love H-Town, and I'm gonna represent my city. And that's pretty much all I gotta say. And I love our team. During the bad times, have I walked out of matches getting really pissed? Yes. Have I walked out of matches 2 seasons ago during the season opener when we won 5-0 against Dallas, and then I went to Kings Court and heckled all the Dallas fans walking out? Shit, yes, I did that too.
Totally fair. Totally fair.
God, that was beautiful. I was in 126A, right on center line for that game. 5-0 defeat. It was beautiful.
I remember
so,
the match. It was fantastic.
Like I said, I love y'all guys, and I'm sure I'll talk to you later in the week. So, y'all be good. Talk to y'all soon, okay?
Hey, Alex, thanks for calling in, man. We really appreciate it, and the sentiment is mutual, sir. And I will have to definitely take you up on that and find a match where I can afford to skip out on a home match and come visit and hang out with you over at your place.
Yeah, seriously. I'm going to try to make as many home matches as I can, but I got a pretty television with a nice surround sound, and the game looks great, and I'd love to
you had me sold at free
have
booze.
more company over. Do what now?
Said you had me sold at free booze. You don't even need to sell the TV at that point. Just free booze.
Seriously, I'll load it up. I'll talk to y'all soon, okay?
All right, later, Alex.
Later, Alex.
Appreciate you. But I mean, it's great, right? Alex, I think, is a perfect example of what I'm talking about when it comes to the Dynamo Dash Toros family. And I mean, opening up his home, offering free booze, talking to people about the Dynamo that obviously have never heard of the team before. I mean, not necessarily going to a lot of matches. Who cares? But he's showing that he bleeds orange. He's showing that he lives orange. He's showing that he loves orange. And at the end of the day, those 3 things right there, live, love, and bleed orange. If you're doing that, man, you're family, period. End of story. So, guys, let's just, are the Vipers winning right now? I haven't been watching my Twitter.
They just tied against Santa Fe Warriors. Santa Cruz.
Screw the Warriors.
Yes.
But
Amen.
with that, it is time to shut this bad boy down, I think, for the night, because I got pizza downstairs that's waiting on me, and I am hungry. So yeah, we gonna shut it down. And I also got to get up really early in the morning, which I am not looking forward to.
Wow. Well, thank you guys for coming on tonight on the show. We hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast. We hope you guys will continue to come back every week, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for Generation Orange. Don't forget that tomorrow, Jacob and I will be going live for Down in the Valley. We'll be talking more in depth about what's going down at RGV. We'll be talking about some news regarding RGV that was released today by Glenn Davis as well. And, of course, we shall see you at the next Dynamo home match on April 13th against San Jose Earthquakes. All right, man. Before we go, we have to do this. Oh, no. Actually, we'll wait for next week. That's right. Bold predictions on that match, but that's 2 weeks from now.
Oh, no, yeah. We got another week before we got to worry about that.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see each other next week. Take care.
Is that another call? Or is that your dad?